Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, do you aspire to be an entrepreneur, to build your own business, to leave a legacy behind? If you want to know how to get started, or if you're already on your journey and want some help on how to tackle the challenges you're facing, this show is for you. Here at Be Your Own Boss, we hear from entrepreneurs about their stories, some very practical tips, and some inspiration. It's time to get started. Welcome to another episode of Be Your Own Boss. This week's episode is part two of the Bharat Nangia story. Bharat Nangia is a Hong Kong based businessman who helps companies as their extended arm in Hong Kong, helping to set up businesses in Hong Kong. And if you haven't heard the first part of the story, check it out on the Be Your Own Boss podcast. It's an amazing story. You know, in this day and age, where there are fights between brothers or between spouses and splits and divorces over money and over responsibilities and things like that, material things like that. Here is a family that has a legacy of being the pillar, the support for each other. The first part of this story, if you go back and listen, you'll realize like what a gem of a person Bharatji is. And coming to the business side of it, many of us think that not having enough money to start a business is the biggest problem, right? Well, wrong. What if you had enough money on the platter to start a business? What kind of challenges would you have? This is what we learn from the Bharat Nangia story. Check out the first part, and today we're going to continue with this story. This is part two. And Bharatji, thank you so much for taking our time again, and welcome back to the Be Your Own Boss podcast.
Thank you, Sachin. Your words are humbling, and thank you so much for getting up early morning for this podcast. Shows your dedication, inspired by you.
Thank you so much. So, Bharatji, when we discussed the in the first part of the story, we spoke about your childhood and your journey into the technology world, and when you started your with your friend, you started the video game arcade, and you were coming to Hong Kong looking for parts to go back and get your machines working back there, right? And but now you're based in Hong Kong. So let's talk about that. How did that business of the video game arcade go, and how did you transition from there and move to Hong Kong?
Okay. So, first of all, I was before my time. That was 91, the early 90s. And in the early 90s, economy in India was opening up. All sorts of regimes were being redone. From a controlled economy, it was opening up to an open economy. So I was just right there at the start, maybe a little too early for my start. Maybe 5 years down the line would have made a little difference, a start. Now, as you said, I came here for parts. Not only parts, there was not enough manufacturing facilities available in India. And those were the times even there were no digital printers or large format digital printers. So I remember visiting Taiwan in early 90s. So I came to
Yeah.
Taiwan and I visited a screen printing company, and it was large format screen printing. And they were printing the decoration, the media to be the signboard on a video game. So this technology was not available anywhere. So this gives the feel of thrill. This gives the machine some uniqueness. So anyone seeing a machine would be attracted to it. Now there are large
Mm.
scale, large format printers which can do it very easily, but it was a very tedious affair back those days. Even on the furniture sides, there's an edge on every wooden furniture, and they used to have a decoration for those edges, plastic decoration, so that because uh, amusement is rough and tough. If you have seen those kids playing, jumping on the machine, banging it, breaking it,
Yeah, yeah.
so parts like the switches which get operated when you push the buttons. There's there's a lot of circuitry inside, and some of them is not very complicated, but yet it is of high quality. And we used to buy those switches from Taiwan. But more so, the market in India was not matured. Volume was not
Mm.
there. So it
Mm.
did not justify even having a manufacturer there who could serve the industry. So although I started in 86 or 80, somewhere around 83 to 86, I was growing this business, and 90s I was expanding it out. I was facing challenges. If I have to focus on arcade games, I should have supply of arcade games. If I'm going to run arcade centers, I need those supply, but which was not available. And then
Mm.
again, the circuitry was complicated. Not everyone understood it. And for us, uh, as I said, India was opening up, and AMA from America, the Amusement Machinery Manufacturing Association, had their first event at Taj Palace in Delhi. There were some importers. I was called upon to help them set up and these machines to run at the amusement, the show. So with this, we got some our first supply. Those are used machine which they had brought to display, Ataris and Capcoms, and to service them, we came to Hong Kong, and then to reproduce them, similar machines with our own branding, with our own thought process. This is what took me to my next journey, and I opened up a factory in Gurgaon.
You opened up the factory in Gurgaon to manufacture the machines.
Manufactured machine to write the
Wow.
codes, to try to do some gaming. But as I said,
Wow.
maybe I was too early, maybe I was not experienced enough, and maybe I did not have right kind of ecosystem with me and partners. So my partner had quit. He had moved on to another city with a bigger project in hand. And those times we tried to do some distribution business also using technology. And that was all because my partner was very aggressive in thinking. And he was also looking for outings because at that time, as I said, things were opening up. And although we had a glimpse of what is coming, but there is not enough support available for that. You talk about startups every day here now,
Yeah.
and new ideas by the tons coming up now. But those days, simple ideas had challenges too. And then going forward, when we were going into all this, and then technology was integrating. We were having now new home machines like Nintendo coming in. The early stage of there was a big company in Ajmer called Samurai selling Samurai machines and this 8-bit, 16-bit games. So that changed the situation quite a bit. Home market exploded. The arcade market had went back again. It was not paying enough to have a game center. Too difficult to manage. So from there on, we moved on to. I did not move to home domestic segment. I did not gel with it, sitting on a small TV and playing with those small joysticks. I didn't get the feel of it. I did not enjoy it. Life has come a full circle now. My daughter is a YouTuber. She's a Twitcher. She is a gamer. She's a girl gamer, and and she uses same name I used that time. And she is as aggressive as I was at the those days. So the legacy is going forward.
Yeah, the legacy continues. So you were focused on big machines and big video gaming, right? That was your prime.
Yeah, but then it changed to amusement games, electronic amusement games. So we had all sorts of crane machines, gift machines, and then we had multiple type of electronic amusement, which you see in amusement parks all the time. And this took me to Japan. I met a lot of interesting people in Konami, Capcom, Atari, and in Taiwan, of course, there was a company which still there, and it had a new innovative approach, bringing the cost down, bringing making the technology simpler. So we used their products. They gave us a kit to assemble in India, and then we understood the art of making a cabinet, a wooden cabinet, using all those gadgets. Which I only thought that wood is you just need a axe and some simple tools like a hammer and things like that. But then this gave me insight into building of a cabinet, and we put a lot of efforts to build our own first machine called virtua bowling. The L was missing in the name. So, and
Hmm.
it give you a feeling of a bowling alley on a video
Wow.
game. So there's a tracking ball, and you just roll it out, and it the pins and everything is right in front of you in a screen. So project was very passionate to me. Again, the first slot was 10 machines. I think I almost got in a very difficult situation, putting so much time and energy building that. Just at that time, imports had opened up and we got all used machines which had very heavy designs, and we were nowhere near them. But I think virtual bowling still stood out. There were some other games, Lord of Gun, which we made, and some simple, what do you call it? It was called a universal cabinet. So you can plug in a Nintendo or 8-bit machine, and then you can get the same experience as an arcade. There were circuits available which were helping to get the coin system working, the commercial working, but the graphics were not good enough. The response was not good enough. The manufacturing was very difficult because, as I said, a lot of imports of second-hand machines were coming in that time due to the economy opening up. But that was good also because it brought the interest back in the gaming. And then electronic amusement also has those pokers and all those gambling machines. And there were some parts which we were importing and people were using in different type of machines. So my focus at that time was to ensure that I had a supply chain where people like me who had struggled to manufacture could get easy pull. So not only I was using those parts in house, I was also trading on those parts and selling those parts to the industry, especially the micro switches from GP Taiwan, which I did almost for 10 to 15 years before the product got outdated or they had a local alternates available in India.
Hmm. So you were supplying parts also to the other manufacturers, but the main part was you were manufacturing these machines, and were you selling them to others or were you using them in your own
No, I was selling them because
you
you can't do everything. You can't be on the front end, you can't be on the back end, you can't be. But then I moved on from the end. The front end also, because of the laws that time and the challenges faced in running a center were huge. You need to have a police license. There were a lot of challenges, and then you had to be sure that there's no gambling happening there. So it was a challenging situation. Although we managed to run for 4 5 years, but then we had to make a choice. And again, on manufacturing, we had to make a choice: stay on to video games or move on. And we moved on. We moved on to making some computers, assembling computers, and that again brought games back into focus. Those were the times the first NVIDIAs were coming out, and I was pretty involved in trading in NVIDIA products also. In fact, I was lucky to be part of a NVIDIA roadshow, which they conducted in Dubai, targeted to the Indian distributors, and I was invited there. One of the gold resellers of NVIDIA at that time. The GPUs, which brought the complexities of the initial arcade games into computers without those complexities. Plug and play, easy to upgrade. The gaming was easy, the softwares were easy. So that was a new chapter again. And that is what I said. This generation has the advantage to, and it's moving, and we see a lot of things happening now in the metaverse. Technology is definitely changing now. But then to keep up with the technology was my aspiration.
Yeah. And this manufacturing business that you had was based in Gurgaon in Delhi, right? Near.
Yeah, it was based in Gurgaon.
And then when did you decide to transition to Hong Kong and or when did you decide to move to Hong Kong?
Actually, when I started the computer business, it was not complex technologies. Now it was simple things like mouse and keyboard. And there was a product which still is there. It's called CPU cooler fan. So that was the
The,
one of the first items I imported from Taiwan.
yeah. Is it the those fans that are put in the you know earlier the big cabinet CPUs were there and then there was this
Yeah,
fan
yeah,
to cool it
yeah.
off. Yeah.
Now you have complete units coming together with the CPU, but those times the fan used to come separately, and it was a task. It is a 40 rupee thing, and the whole machine of a 50,000, 100,000 would go bad because if the fan quality is not good.
Yeah.
So it was a very mundane, it was a very mouse, importing mouse. I mean, how could I do it? But I did it, and then we were assembling computers. And before importing, I was assembling computers. And again, the interest came just because of the gaming, the requirement there. And somehow I could not hold on to the gaming. And I had some good partners again, and we kind of bartered. I was helping them on computers, and they were helping me on games. But then computer was a bigger industry. I remember we were importing computer cabinets, and one fine October day, I had shipped 10 containers in one day to three different countries: India, Middle East, and Africa from Hong Kong, sitting in India. So we were doing mercantile trade also, international trade. So buying from China, uh, invoicing from India, getting the money from our customers in India. So that was again a first of a kind experience for SMEs.
Yeah, so this was kind of a global trade, right? You're getting
Yeah,
the thing shipped
yeah,
from Hong Kong to India and the other countries.
yes. And for this, we exhibited in Jitex Dubai. That was 2003, 4, 5, 2, 3 years consecutively. And we also exhibited at Computex. But later we realized that sitting in India, it is not able to uh, manage the quality, manage the supply chain, because these are global clients. And what happened is before even we quoted, people supplied. So that was the jet lag.
Yeah, competition was very fierce.
More than the competition, it was the infrastructure available. Now India has a big infrastructure. That time it was developing. So that brought me to Hong Kong to inspect the shipments, to negotiate with the suppliers. And it took a lot of time, and took a lot of energy to come, not very easy. So between us, we decided that I will come here. One of the partners would go to Dubai, and the rest would manage. We had a good group going that time.
How many partners did you have there?
We will call it associates rather than partners.
Okay.
It was a group we were working together. So taking responsibilities, different responsibilities, and facing different challenges. Because
Yeah.
An entrepreneur's journey has finance, it has sales, it has purchase, it has HR, many things, innovation. So a lot of aspects there. And once we were doing it all by ourselves, it was challenging.
Hmm.
And at that time, I had a deep intuition in me. I wanted to quit business. I wanted to join someone with a bigger outlay, bigger teams, so that I can grow and I can learn from them and value add more. Because my strength were two important strengths I had. One was I people's connector, a networking guy, a social animal, loving to meet people. So if someone worked with me in 1980s in video games, is still in my phone book. Still we connect once a year or by messaging or somewhere. And the second skill set which was there was I was very aggressive, not afraid. I dared. Not many people would dare. Like the biggest example would be when I decided to move to Hong Kong, giving up that income and starting a fresh here was a challenge, was a thought process. Maybe it was a mistake, but I loved that mistake and I'll do it again.
Wow. Yeah, it was a daring thing to do for sure, right? Like you had things you were already established, and this is your base, and you move your base and go to a new place.
There was a disruption there. Some associates were falling out with each other. I was friendly with all, and I'm still am, but I got affected the most because I was not into the game of competing with the associates, and I was a part of a collaborative team. But then uh, life is not so smooth. They ended up separating, and which created ripples in my life. And my journey, the start of my journey in Hong Kong was not smooth again. I was back to square one. I had to rebuild that whole thing again. And it was challenging. With my health playing tricks, with my travels playing tricks, and then trying to establish another associate in Dubai, opening a company in Dubai, and then opening another company in Hong Kong. Trying to match that was not very easy for me. I could not find the right people. Maybe that has been my biggest challenge.
Hmm. So, what kind of company were you setting up in Hong Kong when you moved there?
It's a trading
Just
company, import export.
trading,
Simple.
right?
Dubai also we opened a import export trading company, general trade. But we were
Right.
focusing on electronics all the time. So I came to Hong Kong, opened a company here, and applied for a residency here. So it was not so difficult with my background, with money in the bank, with experience. So all the ingredients which the immigration would require were available with me. So it was not too difficult. It took few months, 3 4 months to apply and get my residency permit. But then there was another challenge which came my way. I brought my family with me, and then they want to go back because they were not able to adjust. We could not find schooling for my children. And they went back to continue the study there. So my wife had to take both my daughters there. And this took from 2009 to 2015 till they finally moved. So I was a nomad, living in 4 countries, 4
Yeah.
offices, 4 driving license, one family, and I have to move them around and move them with them. So 45 days was the maximum period we were away most of the time. So they came, they traveled twice or thrice. I traveled, and luckily our milestones are well apart: February, June, July, and November. February is Chinese New Year, my wife's birthday. July is summer holidays, my daughter's birthday, and our anniversary. And November is Diwali. and
Your
my
other
birthday.
daughter's birthday. Yeah. Hmm.
Yes. So, and then New Year. So, 4 trips. But it took a lot of toll on my business also, my health also. 7 days in Hong Kong, 7 days in Dubai, 7 days in India, back Dubai, back Hong Kong. So, it took a lot of toll. So, there I decided 2014 or 15 that I am going to wind up. I had a health challenge. I was traveling. I started from Hong Kong up to US via Dubai, back, holiday, exhibitions, in everything in 1 month. We heard about round the world in 80 days. It was round the world in 30 days for me and much more. I was part of CES show at that time in US, Las Vegas. And I was in Dubai for a holiday in between. So all these, and then after that 1 month, I was hospitalized. And doctor said, you are burnt out.
Oh,
And so that was 6, 8 months when I took it very easy. Said business is no meaning if I am not there. And then told my family we can't live separately. Either you come to Hong Kong or I come back to India. So I sold Dubai and I started winding up India operations. And I started even winding up my trading operations, high risk ones, and then trying to settle down in my next phase of life. Fortunately for me, my daughter said, no, we'll come. We love that place. We see your dream. We see what we can do. So everyone came. First, my daughter left her job. She was studying in Pune and she got a placement in HSBC in Pune. So she quit her job. That was again a big adventure. So she was helping me in digital marketing for whatever I did.
yeah.
So I'll just go back here in time. You remember 2000, the Reliance Geo Mobile?
Yeah. The two small phones, LG and Samsung, they made those real phones when Reliance launched
And you
the
remember what it gave
500
you?
rupees.
Yeah, good, good. The 500 rupees, you remember what that gave you?
Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this short break. You're listening to the Be Your Own Boss podcast. By the way, if you find this podcast useful, please share it with your friends and family so that someone somewhere having the potential and the dream to start a business can get some help and some inspiration from this. And if you'd like to support me so that I can bring in more content, please subscribe to the show wherever you're listening to right now. And you can also send me your feedback on byob@sachinacharya.com. That's byob@sachinacharya.com. And now, back to the show.
One thing which it gave you was unlimited messaging. But the mobile had a group of only 10 people. One broadcast list could be only 10 people. And I took that mobile, I hired a girl. I remember 2000 Indian rupees. Her job was to take a thought of day from me. We had around 300 groups, 3000 contacts, and send them that thought of the day every day morning. And we were never selling. We never said, we have this, we have this. Just a thought. And the response I got, someone from Coimbatore I had visited in 91, running arcade games there, came to me. And I had a big house in Delhi, and the backyard was filled with video games. And there were a lot of junk lying there because a lot of discarded games. I used to buy everything. The parts were not available. We were recycling those parts. And even he did not give me a big business, but he bought something which gave me value. Selling a 10,000 or 15,000 Indian rupee part out of the junk was bonus for me. For it was a big money.
Yeah.
So
Otherwise, it was just lying junk in your.
yeah,
Yeah.
and please imagine this was the start of the digital marketing in me. I believe that I was one of the first there. But as I said, being an entrepreneur, you need to look after all these things. But can you be a master of everything? You need to have teams to do that. And then can you be doing digital marketing as it is? I mean, it's changing your stream from a trading activity. But then I am a hardware man with a software incline. Came to Hong Kong, bought my first machine, wrote a software for my hosiery business in COBOL. And then again, I was well ahead of time. I will not say that I did wonderfully well with the aggression, with the worldview which I was getting. I could have done much better, and I could have stick to one and continued on one, but it would not have satisfied my appetite. I just recently turned 60 last year, and I wrote a very good post on that day. Actually, I was planning for my 60th 6 months before, and everyone was saying 60 is just a number. I said it is a number, but it is a new phase for me. I am planning something big for myself. And that is what I said on that 60th birthday. On that post, I said, I start a new journey. I'm trying to unlearn what I've learned so far and get into the new world. So the aspiration, the motivation to learn more is still there. And this has reignited in a new world. That is why the decision taken in 2014-15 slowly wind up. And then COVID accelerating the process because supply chain is not the same as what it was 5 years back. Trading
Exactly.
activities are more conducted over Zooms rather than in-person meetings.
So now, over the last 5, 6 years, 7 years, you've slowly kind of closed down all your Dubai operations, your India operations, and now with the new phase of life, what did you transition into then at 60 when you said you want to go into a
So 2014 onwards, I was when I decided that sooner or later my children are not going to be a part of that. And it was a traditional business. It was not something where you have corporate stakes or angel investors or private equity. So it was all my own money. And I knew my children are not going to. I have two daughters, and both of them have dreams of their own. So I said, "Oh, it's okay." And then I started reorganizing myself from trading to be a supply chain consultant or a handholder for them. So most of my clients were regular clients, and I was doing transparent business with them, meaning that the purchase was very transparent. So it was not a hidden. That gave me leeways to explore other options all the time. So that is where the term extended arm came from. And then COVID taught us what I was trying to do from 2014 to 2019. Again, ahead of time, I won't say COVID should happen in 2014. That would be a gross statement to say. But
you're talking about the digital way of
transformation,
connecting, right? Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
the
You were ahead
transformation
of
which
your
happened.
time.
Yeah, I remember I bought a shipment of CPU cooler fans back in 2000 or 2003. I don't remember the exact year. And there was no MSN, the messenger.
MSN Messenger, yeah.
Yeah. Before that, there was a thing called ICQ.
Yeah, you had
So
ICQ number that you would give to someone and then you chat on ICQ.
no, ICQ had a feature. You could message people on their mobile phone. And messaging to a Chinese mobile number was free of charge. So I bought CPU cooler fan from a manufacturer sitting in China using ICQ, translating, I don't know how, I don't remember even now. Because nowadays everything is so taken for granted. And getting those things in, those packing and those branding and those custom requirements, the invoice has to be like this. And after, even after, because there was a lot of classification disputes in India at that time. Is a fan a CPU cooler fan or a fan which is a instrument outside the computer. So is it a computer part or non-computer part? There was a debate on that, and it was a struggle to explain. And there's a lot of judgments on that. So just giving an example, Dif- to get those things done, those digital marketing, and these things are very important things, very important skill sets.
Yeah, and looking at like the way you got this in through ICQ, you managed and message through messaging and everything. You were like nearly 20 years ahead of your time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that is why that was my biggest challenge, or that was my biggest advantage. I could not turn the challenge into advantage. I was doing it because I was doing it for others, not for myself. I was being
W-
extended arm that time also.
Yeah,
So when we started, we were partners, and then we said, let us be associates. Let me look after the back end of it, because there were initial challenges of volumes, profits, research, development, and high risk on product failures. So it was not easy. And someone from a background who has not handled large people organizations. So then
hmm,
when 2014, I had another idea. When I was trying to move back to India, a couple of my college friends and neighbors who were corporate guys, we started a startup called NRI Ages, thinking that there would be a single point, single ticket place in India where a NRI would say, and his problems would be gone. Travels to India, family back home, property back home, business opportunities back home. So we tried to do that. But then my daughter said, no, I'm moving out. So I quit that startup and left it with others and came to Hong Kong. And in Hong Kong, at that time, I was very clear in my mind that I have to give up trading. I have to give up high volume products. And I want to do a thing which would be, and Amazon was there, and e-commerce was coming in. So I was thinking of something different in e-commerce. Again, I think still ahead of time. So I started the startup called Kyadu in Hong Kong. Again, a big story there. I don't know if we have time for that, or maybe there's another episode for that. Because Kyadu is one important aspect and part of my life, which is still there with me. Although I have closed the company formally, but the idea is not given up. The idea has value, it has strength. I've learned a lot in launching that startup. We did not go to market. Again, we did not have resources in terms of human capital. So I was fortunate to get a lot of good AI specialists and good people with me on board. But then COVID happened. We started this company right in March 2020 and closed in 22. And all those people could not move, could not travel. Their family were facing challenges in COVID. Travel was difficult. So they could not come
hmm.
and go back. But this is an entire episode in itself. In fact, I wanted to do a series of podcasts on Kyadu, which I had written down, planned, but then uh, not much infrastructure available that time. So
So
investment money
Kyadu,
was not the challenge. The challenge was
hmm,
having the right team with me, the partners with me. And we spoke to many people, and we are still speaking. I'm still hopeful that I'll get that, or maybe I'll inspire someone to take over this one. I'm
sure.
willing to work for free on that because that
So
is a
Kyadu
passion.
is a yeah, and Kyadu is the project, and the name Kyadu is, if I understand right, this is what shall I offer you, right? In Kyadu, as in Hindi,
Yeah,
Kyadu.
Kyadu.
Is
Yeah,
that? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So the e-commerce is based on something like a wish list in Amazon, not available in Asian countries. So predictive recommendation engine. When you give a gift, you give what you want to give. You love books, you give a book. People have habits of gifting, but they
yeah,
don't understand that each gift has a unique purpose. I want to gift my time, but does the other one need it? I am imposing myself. I'm feeling good about it. So the right gift is the gift which the receiver wants, not which the givers give. And for the giver to find out what a receiver wants needs a lot of technology. It's a
Yeah.
deep subject, passionate
So
subject.
this is something that you want to launch and work on as a project and create podcasts and
I don't want to create podcasts as a part of that. The
yeah.
purpose is the purpose why Kyadu is to bring happiness to everyone, to make gifting as a tool to bring harmony to the world. Everything is a gift. Everyone needs a gift. And gifts are everywhere. You name it, it is a gift. Your time today is a gift. So, any experiences, any advice, any thoughts, physical, material, non material, everything is a gift. So, if the whole gifting ecosystem is centric to the receiver, I don't want to get advantage of giving something to you. I just want to you to get that, and you should get an advantage, not me. My advantage is collateral to your advantage.
Hmm. As a byproduct. Yeah.
It's a byproduct.
Yeah.
So what we say is this byproduct will always come. Money will come. Your satisfaction will come. But overall, the world would be a happy place. You
Wow.
won't believe it. 90% of gifts are recycled or thrown or not liked.
Yeah, and the main reason for that is because gifts are given based on what the giver wants to give rather than what the receiver wants to receive.
Yes. And this brought me to a new world, understanding markets, understanding. And I am not a sales marketing educated person. I am a commerce graduate. People tell me, Bharat, you are too strict. You want to do everything in a process. That is maybe my what I learned from my grandfather and which has stayed on with me. I can't just take shortcuts. So the process building has been there, but then in the Kadu itself experience, I learned a lot of things about angel funding, about what a pitch deck is, and Hong Kong has a very good ecosystem. So I've learned a lot here, and it has given me a lot of inputs into the new modern business. They say when you do a MBA or masters, you have to study 3 4 years in between. That is the reason, because there's a new learning from your experience. Otherwise, it's all theory. So after all this experience, my new learnings gave me new insights, and which were helping me on the other business also, where I was changing from supply chain to being a business consultant, to being a area representative, being your man Friday in Hong Kong.
So that's what extended arm is, where you're working as more of consultancy and helping businesses
Yeah, but
set up.
most of the time, I still find difficulty in communicating what extended arm is. Most of the people would come and tell me, I want to sell this, please help me sell this. Or I want to buy this, please help me buy this. Now they have done no market research. They have no idea what it is. They don't know international business. They just have a thought. Even I had that when I came to Hong Kong first time. I came for a holiday, no? 83, I think. But many people, and they're fascinated by what is happening in Dubai, what is happening in all these international cities of Singapore, Hong Kong, and Dubai. But behind the scenes, my guidance to anyone who comes to me for purchase, sales, or any activity they want to do from the region, do some homework, do some research. I can give some free guidance on some, I can point you to some links to some people who will be able to give you more insights on what is happening in this part of the world. What are the cultural differences? Suppose a food guy wants and says, Bharat, I want to sell my food products in India. How? I have unique, I have this, I have this. and I have a big market share in India, and I sell to Bahrain or some other Middle East countries. So each culture is different. The requirement of government and the compliance requirements are different. The import requirements are different. So they have not studied this and they don't want to invest into it. They have only one word: help me sell. And the second word they say is, we give you money when we earn profits. So these are the mindsets on a SME scale, on an individual scale. Even someone wants to sell his IT services. And I'm representing a council from India. It's called Electronic Software Promotion Council of India. 3,000 member companies. And over a period, they have been coming here. I have been representing them. My journey with ESC started in GTEX. I exhibited in a ESC pavilion in India pavilion in GTEX. And I stayed in touch. And when they were coming to Hong Kong, they were looking for someone because the Indian consulate supports the councils from India. But one consulate with 1,000 councils to support is very difficult. So they needed a dedicated person. And then they have limitation of budgets. They can't hire people. So I was helping them on a voluntary basis. So all those 27 or 30 companies which they brought in every time, giving them right advice. They're here for a short exhibition. They are exhibiting or they are visitors, and they need to make the most out of it. So being focused on India, but I have clients in other countries also. Word of mouth only. And slowly by my efforts on LinkedIn and my efforts on digital marketing. Again, learning.
Yeah, and in your case, like learning is something that you're very passionate about, right?
Yeah.
It's a
So
continuous
if
process.
we are a part of where we met was
Yeah,
Entrepreneur Connect 2.0,
EC
where I am
2.0.
serving as Vice President Global Growth, again a voluntary work, uh, helping, trying to support each other. There also I've taken on my role as a global growth, so connecting people, bringing people in. And my medium is LinkedIn, where I have been putting a lot of time in last 3-4 years. Did some events myself called Engage to Grow, trying to understand again that givers gain. The thought process is not what you want to give, is what you want the others want to receive. So, and I had done some events called Engage to Grow there, which is again a very powerful thought process in my mind. And I don't believe in posting much. I would rather go and listen to what you are posting. Listening would give you value. That engagement is important. I give a comment, I like it or not. You see, there are a lot of networking groups there, all over. I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this. Everyone is, I do this. So I'm trying to change that mindset.
That's a very important point you brought up, actually. That yeah, this is the mindset in general is that go out and say what you do, what you sell, and just make some noise about it. But you're saying rather than just saying I do this, you connect with people. Is that I mean, what's the alternative? What's your message
No, when
there?
you connect with people, I can give you an example. Whenever I went to buy something from a supplier, I was always welcomed. Whenever I want to sell to them, I had to find an appointment. So what I did was very simply, I went and bought something or helped someone buy from them, and the door opens. He is meeting me much more often, and in those meetings, subtly, I am able to sell something somewhere. So as we said before, the byproducts are benefits for you. The main product is you are looking for others. If everyone is looking for themselves, who is looking for them? Who is looking for you in turn? Going back to the Kyadu idea, the same thing happens again. You start giving value to others, everyone starts doing that. The world is a better place. There's another chapter in my life which we can discuss another time, which is Toastmasters, which I have just joined in 2019. And in 3 years, I have done a lot of public speaking, a lot of learnings, got a lot of mentors. And one of the biggest mistakes of my life, why was not I introduced to Toastmasters when I was in college or school? Because all these things, all what comes in life, you can't have one mentor. You have to have an ecosystem of mentors.
And
And I got that
Toastmasters
from,
is, yeah,
yeah, I got that from, I am so blessed to get this huge ecosystem of resources and who are very helpful, constructive. And I am a Toastmaster now. I have completed my highest award in the highest individual award in Toastmaster, which is a distinguished Toastmaster, which is, you can call it a MBA of sorts, but
yeah.
DTM is distinguished Toastmaster. I founded I chartered a club, and I'm still part of that. I'm the current president of Founders Toastmaster. It's like opening our own new business, planning everything from membership to education to, and we are very successful at that.
Yeah, starting a club is like starting your own business, and this is another thing. Like Toastmasters teaches you so many things. This is one of
Yeah.
them. Like when you charter a club,
Mhm.
it gives you the experience of how you can start a business, right? And
A lot of learnings there, lot of stories we hear, and stories is what makes us grow. Stories is what gives us life experiences of others. I created stories for myself 40 years of my life. Had I got a platform like Toastmasters where I could hear those stories, I would not have to redo them myself. Toastmaster could have been a source for that. I'm very passionate about Toastmasters, of course. And these learnings, how can you get these learnings? Outside, in your business. I don't want to go back in time. But I would wish this for my children, for everyone around, all the business owners. But then uh, I want to motivate people to join Toastmasters. But they need space, they need time. Even my children need time. This is why I'm here with you, speaking about, and the other day I told you, give me a raw feed. This is for my children. We can't communicate with our children at certain phase of life. And then life is too fast for us. I miss communicating more with my grandfather.
so, Bharatji, talking of your grandfather and the people whom you learned from in your journey, right? Let's have a quick moment of reflection here. When you look back at your journey and uh, the different things that you learned from different people, who would you like to give the credit to for your success and for all what you've achieved so far?
A big list, and blessed to have that big list. I
Yeah.
won't be able to name anyone other than my grandfather and my uh, uncle, my father's elder brother, two pillars who made me who I am. For my uncle to have the trust in me to let me fly, come to Hong Kong in 1983, gave me all sort of. He went too early. Both of them went too early. Those were my inspirations and still are. When I go further, my father and my brother again are my biggest teachers. They are differently abled. They only know love. Their definition of happiness is very simple. So I would say, blessed to have learnings from three generations: my grandfather, my father, and now my children. They are all good teachers too. Of course, when you say, I would name a lot of people from childhood. My accounts teacher, Mishra ji, he was a passionate teacher, and everyone was teasing him because he was a chain smoker, and he was having high blood pressure. So in the class, he was always booed upon, and he was my favorite teacher. And he taught me the one principle of accounts. The first thing he taught me, and which stays with me today, and which I remember him for, that for him the accounts was important. When you in the when you say amount and you write rupees, and you, if there is a full stop to be put there, the syntax of it. So he was very insistent. That is why he was booed upon. He wanted everyone to write the narrations well. Now today we say, what is language? Why we should use correct language, or we can go ahead because our life aim is different. But as my grandfather said, the tables, learning those tables, and I relate this story in my lot of my Toastmaster speeches. When I say technology of yesterday, my grandfather was so afraid we use calculators and we'll be dumb in mind. Do we think about calculators today? Or for that matter, am I not afraid the creativity of the world would go with ChatGPT? Everything is changing all the time. So it's not Facebook, or it is not Twitter which has come in, or some new technology, or Bharat's recommendation Kyadu engine is coming up. So the Kyadu is just a recommendation engine which can be used for anything. So many applications there. Biggest learning, biggest influence is all these. For me, like I said, Mishra ji is one. But I can name my teachers. I can name some teachers from my children. I was in an NGO I told you about. Lot of mentors there. I think one thing which I would say here to everyone, from my life experience, everyone is teaching you something. Are your antennas up or no? Choice is yours. You want to learn or not? You want to treat them as mentors, or you want to treat them as competitors, or you have ego to reach out to them.
That's a very important message, and thank you for sharing that. And talking of reaching out, one final question, Bharatji, as we come, conclude this. How can people reach out to you?
I am
If
everywhere. Just think of me and I'll be there. That is one. And I am accessible everywhere. I am on LinkedIn. I am on Facebook. Although I don't post too much on Facebook, Insta, all messages come to me. If I don't see them regularly, once a week, or sometime I'm on a digital detox, sometime on a physical detox. But reaching out to me is very easy. WhatsApp, LinkedIn, email, and Google. Just Google Bharat
Google,
Nangia. Lucky there is no two Bharat Nangias there. So I have a unique name, and my initials is BB, boy. The last name is Nangia, BB Nangia is my ID on all social media. You can find me at
yeah,
bbnangia at gmail.com, bbnangia at hotmail.com,
right.
bbnangia 123 at Skype, or I'm on WhatsApp, and I'm on EC2. So the best place to find me is LinkedIn. If you are finding me for any support for your business.
Sure. We'll post your LinkedIn profile link in the show notes here
Yeah.
so that people can reach out easily, and in the description for the YouTube. So, Bharaji, what a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for coming on this show and sharing your journey with us. I'm really blessed to have you here on my show.
Oh, it was nostalgia all the way, and thank you for taking me there. Thank you for patiently hearing me.
It's a gift that you've given us your time. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that was Bharat Nangia, the Hong Kong-based businessman, the people connector, and you've been listening to Be Your Own Boss.